Hey everybody, it's me, Captain Foley,
Me, come on, Cockins.
and this is Trekyards. Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well, because we certainly are. And today we're taking a look at another ship, because we love ships here, in case you can't tell.
I've just come onto that and it blew my mind.
Really? You just figured that out, huh? Oh wow, cool. Well, we're gonna go back to the earlier days of the Federation today, and well, that's not the Federation, but an earlier show. And we're going to look at a ship from Enterprise. Specifically, what ship, Samuel?
Xindi Aquatic Battlecruiser. And we did do an episode on this very, very early on. To the point that obviously it's well pre-renders, well pre all that stuff. And there was some basic renders, but it was like fan models and stuff. Now we're using the real models, obviously. So this is a real indication for us to take a look at this ship, look at the scale, all that classic stuff you expect, and just get another fresh look. And you got the first picture, but just to point out how much more worth this show is, cut to the second picture. That's a shot from Enterprise, and even in the Blu-ray version, it's blurry because they didn't render them all at full high def and cut back to the first one, slightly more crisp in the Trekyards one. So yay, we get to see it finally. So Stuart, what do you think of the Xindi Aquatic Battlecruiser, and what was your first impression seeing on screen?
I think it's a really interesting design. We didn't see too much of it really in the show at first, but I do remember being kind of impressed with it. I like the shapes for sure, and it does have that aquatic feel to it. It definitely feels like a marine life of some kind, and very elegant shapes, very smooth, and very aggressive looking at the same time. So it's a beast.
Yeah, no, there's only 2 episodes because Arch and they needed stuff to take on the insectoids and reptilians who have more powerful ships, so they brought on the aquatics, and suddenly you cut to the exterior. It's like, oh, that's a big ship. Yep, they're the most advanced. Yep, that is and we'll see the scale, how much bigger they are. But definitely left an impression to me because it was that big brother that came in, wrecked a bit of shop, and then brought them home at the end. This thing, basically skipped the entire journey back because it was that quick. But in terms of 3D modeling, I think it looks gorgeous for a ship that they didn't know how much it'd be used at the end of a season when budget's tight. I mean, I think they did a really nice job. But next picture was it from the show, and like I say, you can see how blurry it was. They tried, but time and effort, and you can see how much bigger it is to the other Xindi ships. You can see the humanoids and arboreals and the other aquatic ships. It was big, real big.
It was big.
But just how big, Stuart, in context with other things? Let's cut to the third picture. Just a little show and tell here.
We kind of all knew that though, because if you remember the episode, the NX-01 did fit in a hangar bay on the lower side of it. So I didn't think it was quite that big compared to the Enterprise D, but you always imagine the Enterprise D to be so much bigger than the NX-01. It's really not. I mean, the NX-01 and the Constitution class are pretty much the same size as far as length goes, but the length of one of the Enterprise D nacelles. So, I mean, this is pretty impressive, actually. So I gotta say, I approve. Very nice.
Yeah, I always love that the NX and the Connie share the exact same sort of dimension saucer, apart from Connie being deeper. It's the secondary hull that gives it the internal volume boost, because the NX-01, it's only saucer internal volume, then there's no internal volume. Enterprise D doesn't look a lot bigger, but obviously the internal volume is like many times. That's the important thing. And you can imagine the internal volume of this Xindi ship. I mean, I know the creatures themselves are pretty big, that's why. But I'm guessing there's like a small ocean in them, and you can see the visible bits which are open to space, which is a bit ridiculous, but led to some cool shots. But at least they want the star view, just oh, they just back and But how much of this is water filled? Do you think?
Oh man, I think we've had this discussion before.
Yep. Yep. It could be a weapon as well.
It's hard to say, because it's designed by Aquatics, so I would imagine all of it is full of water, with or even around the mechanical areas, except for the air aquarium where they kept Archer.
Yeah, I guess the very fact that they're an aquatic species means that all of their metals are water resistant, because they would have to be. But electricity goes through water. But would they have to, would they have to make? Sure, they have to limit stuff, because we can just have electricity going through our air and not killing people, but put through the water and it starts killing people. Would they have to, would they use alternate things?
That's a very good question. I don't know, because you got to think of just the logistics of a aquatic species creating a ship in space. They need to have shuttle pods and some kind of construction facility that all has water included, unless they had help from the other Xindi species.
Well, we saw they were the ones out mostly building the weapon underwater. So I'm guessing they're also. I mean, to build this, you must be a very heavy construction race. Because considering, hey, the Reptilians like, we built a new warship, and the Aquatic's like, bitch, please, look what we built last week. They're like, oh, because they are diddly. But side view though, looks like a bird, but I mean, just the internal volume's huge. It really is. It's massive. Although we know that they could blow through ships, the Xindi other ships relatively easily. We saw so did the Defiant into Darkly. So I wonder at what stage of better tech the ship is, because obviously it's bigger, but you know, if you've got a ship from 10 years later, it might blow it away. The NX refit, if that ever becomes fully canon, like that might be blown away, or an Andorian warship which is stronger. Like I wonder what power level, or if it's just big because they need the volume to actually house the crew. Like if they need a 300-person crew, well, that actually equals out to a lot more space. So maybe it's just a fundamental level, rather than we're much more advanced.
Well, I think, didn't they say that they were the most advanced of the Xindi species? Like you said, they were building the weapon. They got the NX-01 back to Earth really fast. I mean, they got this advanced tech. So I think it's probably a combination of both. like if you looked at the Xindi timeline, this is probably like the Enterprise D of their era, of their time. You know, it's like they've already had the smaller ships back in the day, and they've just stepped it up. So this is like the Enterprise D equivalent.
The next picture, we can see the proof of the scale as it leaves the docking. Obviously, the ship was probably rescaled, as in, I mean, they probably knew that in the script. So like, okay, that's how big the ship has to be, because that's a very distinct measurement of how big the ship has to be. That's probably the only reason it's so huge. You know?
I would imagine so, yeah. But no, it's interesting too about the docking bay that the Enterprise would have been in. Is that usually full of water? Did they evacuate the water? Do they take that into account that most species aren't aquatic, so they'd have different areas on the ship that would accommodate those? I mean, we did see the small air aquarium, like I said.
Well, that's true, considering that every other Xindi race is not water-based. To deal with them, is it easier to have the aquatics beam onto your ship? I mean, does all the humanoid ships have a water tank? Or is there just whole sections that you can dewaterize, not depressurize, dewaterize, and have, you know, co-conversations, like 2 corridors, and one you can have people and one can have aquatics? I don't know, but at the very least, that size of that bay, does that imply that they have secondary ships, or that they often ferry other races that they're friends with because they're just so much faster? And I mean, they're not the fastest. That was the humanoid, that was Degra's ship, but it was much smaller, and obviously it can only do like 20 people. It's very small. So I wonder if that's just the, or just it takes a fighter contingent. I mean, they might not be able to. Well, they did do the rifts. Questions about fictional universe that will never be answered, Stuart. We do try. Next picture though is the back view, or the front view if you were swapping the angle.
Yeah, and either way works, to be perfectly honest. Again, very elegant design. I do love the addition of the domes on the top, with you can see the water, even though it seems kind of silly. But
well, so is a bridge dome. So when, I mean, they're just as silly as having any windows. I mean, in the Enterprise refit, the greenery with the window, that's just as dumb as this.
It's true. Anyway, going to the next picture, it's a view of this, well, from the back, but from the bottom. And again, very beautiful, elegant designs. This looks like something, if you were scuba diving and looked up, you could see this like again, but it looks like the back should be the front at this point, just because of the way the wings are swept. It looks like fins, you know. Very beautiful design.
And you can see all the nice reflections on the surfaces, and just it's a really elegant model. I think they really outdid themselves with this one. It's just pretty, you know. And the next view, which is the view of Enterprise, quite a lot with the extra detail. Yeah, I mean, has there been a bad view so far? Not every ship was good from every view, but this, I think, holds up from every view.
Very much ahead of the Enterprise time as far as clunky ship designs that we kind of got. This is very much more advanced. That's why I say I think it's probably their Enterprise D version. Much more curvy and, larger.
The next picture is a close-up of the water bits, just so you guys get a sense of what was really in there. And it's just clever, luminosity tricks, although what it looks like they're implying is actually they're buildings. When the ship is that big, you could have buildings. Maybe they're like mini apartments.
Wow, I've never seen that detail before. That's really cool.
No one has.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd buy that it's buildings. That doesn't feel right to me. I mean,
let's jump back to the scale for a second, the top view. I mean, smaller than the bridge, but of the NX-01, but maybe they're just long. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It could just be different mechanics, machinery. Maybe that's the main computer cores, something. I don't know. I do like the fact that it looks like buildings, though. It's interesting. I just don't know if I quite buy that, but
yeah. Well, yeah, they just want to put stuff in there to add some 3D. It would be really difficult to put in moving aquatics inside these from long range, but just a fun shot for that. And the next picture is, I quite like the Xindis. They do subspace vortexes. Just cool, it's just a cool effect. Although when you look from inside of it, it's just transwarp. They just use the same scene file from Voyager for transwarp. So whatever. It's just another way of traveling. But I thought the going in and out of it is really cool as an effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta love the different approaches to FTLs in all sci-fi, and this one is very cool for sure. But then moving on to the last picture, which is the first picture. Again, great looking ship, and one that I would have liked to see more of. I mean, like you said, it was only in 2 episodes. Didn't get too much of a feel for it, unfortunately. But it's a beautiful design, and it definitely deserved more screen time, in my opinion. And who knows, maybe they had planned for more and just couldn't make it work, or I don't know. It's just a shame that it's such an elegant design, such time and effort put into it, and just hardly seen.
Yeah. A simple look today, just to sort of seeing it for the first time and seeing it in such clarity. It was, and if you look at the concept art, it was very much just this. John did it, and then they built it. Which is a great touch. But yeah, I mean, I rendered on older PCs because I had this model for quite a while, and because of all the reflective stuff inside all the domes, it did take a while to render with lots of light. So at the time, this would have been a really hefty one. I mean, considering you get close to it, it had to be good because the scale nature of it means it's so huge, meaning other ships fly around it, which means you get a lot closer to this in context. So that's why they had to upbuild it. But it was quite a hefty one. So imagine at the time it was like a, do we have to do it in this shot? Yeah, let's put it far, that sort of one. But I mean, we all want to see more of Enterprise and of those sorts of things. And the Xindi as a race should come back in some form. They're interesting. I mean, why wouldn't you want to see Xindi in a Pike show or whatever come back as a, oh look, they have Xindi ships and they're all aboard one ship, and it's like, oh my goodness, and I don't know, it'd be cool. And this is this ship or a similar ship come back. It's fun.
Totally agree with you on that one.
Cool.
But guys, do you agree with the commander? Would you like to see the Xindi come back in a proposed Pike series? Maybe the future that the Discovery has jumped into in season 3. I would love to see them again, to be honest. So what do you guys think? Put your comments down below. Love to read those and have a great conversation. What do you think of the ship, the design? Would you have liked to see more of it? Let us know. But in the meantime, hit like, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification icon so you get notified when we upload videos like this. We love doing really cool renders of ships that you might not be able to see the detail in the show, but we get to see it here on Trekyards, and that's what makes us a little bit special. So please subscribe.
And of course, we want to support what we do, what we want to do, what we've been doing. Patreon is a great way. YouTubers like us use it to support them as a backbone, because if we know that's coming in, we know whatever happens on YouTube, still got something, and you're still got to pay the rent, still got to pay the bills, and still got to eat. It's kind of important, as you guys might know. And of course, subscribe. That's important. Bell notification. Join our lives every single week on different content, different topics, different franchises sometimes. Join those. We always do them sort of at 10 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I guess that would be 3 LA time if you're in LA. And buy merch down below. And there's just lots of cool things in the description if you want to click any of those. There's things for everyone.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coggins. Bye, guys.